Standing Tall, Overcoming All with Jucelyn Ong.
Hi,
Hi, Jucelyn.
hi everybody.
Right.
It's a public
Yeah.
holiday today, right?
Yes. So, how do you say that? So, to all our Muslim friends out there, enjoy your holiday.
Yeah, the exact greetings, I'm not very sure. But yeah, thank you for taking time to join us. We know it's the public holidays. And if you are tuning in, thank you for spending the half an hour with us.
Yes, and we have actually we just jumped off from another conference, right, from the Women Arise conference, and we are so blessed by all the sharing, by all the leaders, the women leaders. So
That's right.
I'm very, very blessed and very affirm of all the messages. It just affirm us of what we are doing on the ground and in our community, in the marketplace. Yeah. How about you, Jocelyn?
Yeah,
How
wow. The conference was yesterday and this morning as well. In fact, it's still ongoing, right? I think it's a wrap up. Yeah. And and it has always spoken to me. In fact, my first encounter with this conference is by the NCW was in 2018. That was the
2018.
first time I attended, but now it's due to COVID, we can't attend physical conference itself. But wow, it's so powerful when women come together
Yes.
to listen and then to be encouraged. And then
Yeah.
being encouraged is one thing, but then taking that decision and the step to make that choice, right? To move,
Yes.
right? Yeah,
Yes.
don't just receive, but actually really open up the present and enjoy the gift that we have. Yeah, in fact, this book, Standing Tall, Overcoming All, in a sense, it was birthed, the idea,
Mm.
right, during the
Mm.
2018 conference.
Wow. So
Yeah, when I
it's
was
during you receive
yeah,
the seed.
yeah,
Was it the seed?
the seed. So you see, sometimes we plant seeds or we make decisions in life and we only see the fruits of it. Well, that was
Mm.
18. Now it's 2021.
Yes.
So, that took 4 years for the seed to germinate. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this book. Yeah, because when I went for the conference and I was challenged, I was challenged to write down a big prayer, something that I didn't think is possible.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the exact words I wrote, that I want to help women having gone through a journey myself, the process, and be there for women and help them through a book, because that is one way where I can encourage and reach out to large masses. Yeah,
Right.
so yeah, I'm very encouraged and reminded that it
Yeah.
takes time sometimes, and we need to be patient with ourselves, because we, like today's topic, right? Lives and what it throws to us can sometimes create little road bumps and
Mm.
cause us anxiety or
Mm.
even depression.
Yeah. And I think talking about women is like
Mm.
whatever is given to a woman, when it's being returned back into the society or into the world, that thing, whatever that you have given her, would have transformed. Yes, yeah, we have this ability to just nurture, incubate, and transform whatever that we received. And when we give it back to the world, yeah, I I hope that it is something that is positive. So be very careful of what you give to a woman, right? You want to give her the positive, the seeds of positivity, right? Yeah, and
That's right.
what you have received was a positive seed, and the outcome, it transformed and became a book that is going to, and it actually, even before it is published, those who have already come into have the privilege to have a read of it are already being blessed, yeah, and encouraged by the wealth of experiences and takeaways that you share in the book. So thank you once again, Jucelyn, for taking that step
Mm.
to actually do it, right? To actually write the book. Many people could have if you are one of those who find that you have received an idea, a seed, and all that, but you are still sitting on it. Learn from Jucelyn, take action, and get it done. Get the book out, get your story out, get that message out, and because it will bless many. Yeah. And then coming back to the topic, so be careful of what you feed, what we feed our mind. If we are feeding all the negative stuff, and then we will nurture all the negativity, and the outcome will be symptoms of negativity, right? Which will lead to, like, specifically when I want to talk about anxiety and how anxiety can spiral down into depression, or even worse, suicidal attempt, right?
That's right.
So just what are you going to share with us, how are you going to approach this topic?
Okay, can I show you like this bear? Do you recognize it? Is the this was from my son when I went to the Phantom of the Opera, because somehow I just loved that musical. So when it came to Singapore, I think it was the year before the COVID, so it can't be last year. And then he bought me this as a souvenir. But right, so memories, create memories. But what I want showing you is that, do you see this mask here? Right? How often, and maybe you yourself are also experiencing this, where you're actually hiding behind a mask? I don't know. I think many of us feel safer when we have our mask on, because when you have the mask on, it actually covers maybe what is deep inside. Like you said, women be careful what you give a woman, because I think we are very much nurturers, right? And I suppose that's why we are chosen to give birth and to nurture the children, and we carry them in our womb, and it's just different. I mean, men have a very, very important role to play as well in bringing up and nurturing the children, but it's just different. They will be the fun bit, the bringing them on the adventures, the hiking. The mom is the one that the children tend to go to when they're hurt, when they're, need a listening ear. And somehow I think we're kind of wired to nurture people, nurture the young. So therefore, it is very important that we ourselves be very mindful of, what about us? Do we nurture ourselves? Do we take care of what's going on inside?
Good question. Yeah,
maybe take a moment to think, because a lot of the issues that we are going to talk about this afternoon boils down to actually a manifestation. They're just physical manifestation of what is inside. So I'm going to start off from this angle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to look into, like, what are the symptoms, identifying the symptoms, right?
That's right. So I think as women, we carry a lot of, some of us might feel that, you get shoulder aches and tight necks and all that, right? So there are days I go to do a massage because it's aching, and the question would be, are you very stressed lately? Because your body is, your body tells you, talks to you, and these are all manifestation, tight necks and all that, something is not right with you. And I think, if we are not careful about because we have lots of hats to wear, right? We are moms, we are sisters, we are, daughters, wife, and all. So anxiety crops up sometimes out of the blue. Because, we might not realize that actually we are dealing with certain unresolved issues that springs out, or an event has occurred that triggers what was not resolved. or have never been resolved. So what are some of the signs of anxiety? Could be you get panic attacks, you feel like you can't breathe sometimes, or, I'm not sure if you have felt that before, like you are just suffocating. You get sweaty palms. And I've got a friend who recently actually shared with me, out of the blue, she just texted me, a very dear friend, a friend that I've known for decades. We kind of grew up together. And she said, hey, I think I am having a depression. Yeah. And the next question was, will you look down on me? Are you going to judge me? And I would say no. Immediately I said no. In fact, I think you are so brave to even share that with me, to share that struggle with me. Yeah.
Yeah. I think one very, like just now we mentioned, first of all, we need to identify the signals and the symptoms, right? Because these are symptoms that tell you something is not working well, it's not serving you well, right? Yeah, I during one of my talks, about building mental resilience is, I always, to put it simply, to categorize these symptoms, natural alarm system, right? Like even our body also have natural alarm system, right? I categorize them into physical, or psychological, or even behavioral.
That's right.
So, very simple example of a symptom. If you ignore it, for example, you have a tummy ache, right? That is a signal, right? That's a signal to tell you that you need to look for a toilet. And if you ignore that, what is going to happen is going to be very embarrassing, right? Your body biologically, you may not be able to hold that, and you continue to ignore that signal, you're going to get embarrassed, right? Without going to the toilet. Yeah. So likewise, if we ignore these symptoms, our emotional and psychological symptoms, then what is going to happen can be very disastrous, right? But what are some of the before we go into some of the demands and pressures that causes all these anxieties and stress, right? A little bit of statistics. There are, mental wellness is an issue, right? There are increase in numbers of suicidal attempts. Yeah, suicide rates has increased, right? And the last I did research, right? 1 in 7 has experienced, one in Singapore, 1 in 7 have experienced a mood swing, anxiety, or even alcohol use disorder in their lifetime. Yeah. And more than 75% interviewed have not sought proper medical help. Can you imagine the actual numbers out there of people that are actually struggling with anxiety and stress?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you said, right? Even like having stomach discomfort, it can be a result of stress. So to some people, they don't realize that they are actually facing some of the signs and symptoms of anxiety. Anxiety can cause tummy disorder or upset because of the chemical. Your body undergoes certain changes. So, it could become more acidic and things like that. And that's why it really causes physical discomfort. Yeah. Or you might suddenly blank out, or you realize that you are not able to focus very well. Your mind seems clouded. Yeah, you can't focus. These are all signs that you are actually very anxious or stressed. But if you prolong stress, might lead to you getting into a deeper level of your body not coping well.
Yeah, I think some of the warning signals that how stress can actually affect us, right? fatigue. Another area is
That's
fatigue. If you feel that you're always feeling very tired, like chronically tired,
That's right.
yeah, or even social withdrawal. If you tend to withdraw yourself from social interaction, yeah, and there are, or even always very moody, yeah, very temperamental,
That's right.
or even experiencing very low quality sleep, yeah, unable to sleep, always having migraine, insomnia, right, or to the extreme, some may even experience symptoms like substance abuse or binge eating, yeah. So yeah, actually I have a whole list. Actually, I have a list of what are the symptoms and all
Yep.
that to look out for. So if you are keen to find out what are the symptoms, you can always PM me. I can share that PDF file with you. It's a whole list of symptoms, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because every individual will react to it differently. So for some, it
right.
might be binge eating. For some, it might be the reverse, where they have totally no appetite, right? For
Mm,
some, it might be sleeping in a lot. For some, they can't go to sleep. So
yeah.
these are just signs that if you realize that you are not, behaving the way that you normally are,
Mm,
it could be a sign that you are trying to cope.
yeah, it's our body's natural way. Yeah, to our body has a natural biological system,
That's right.
right? Yeah. So we won't go into the medical terminology because
Mm.
this is not a science class, a science lesson. But what we want to highlight is listen to your body. Listen to your body, be more self-aware about your emotions, right? About what you are thinking. So your thinking, your feeling, and the way you are behaving. All these are symptoms, signs and symptoms that tell you, what's working for you and what's not working, right? And then we need to address them. So, just like, what are some of your symptoms that you have experienced in the past when you experience, yeah,
Mm.
anxieties and all that? Yeah, how was your experience like? Maybe we share a bit of experience.
Okay.
Mm,
I think for myself, I went through, I think at that time when I was going through, I
mm,
probably didn't know that I was, not functioning well. I just
mm,
knew that I have this perpetual sense of hopelessness,
mm. Okay.
like, yeah, I wake up, but, it's just thinking of putting my foot on the ground takes some form of a lot of energy. Like if I could, I want to just hide under the blanket and just sleep my day away, but I can't because I have roles to fulfill. I need to go to work. I need to lead a team. I need to be there for my kids. I just have to do it. I
Mm,
realize that I cry a lot.
mm.
Okay,
Okay.
I tend to, even at night,
Mm-hmm.
just sometimes just feel like, what's happening to me, and then I'll be
Mm,
in this trap of feeling lousy about myself. Like,
mm,
why are you so useless? Why are you in this situation? Why can't you get yourself out of it? And it's not
mm,
like I don't want to, I just can't seem to get out of it. It's like being in
mm,
a quicksand
mm,
where, you try to lift yourself up, but every time you try, it's like an invisible pool.
mm.
Yeah, they suck
Okay.
you in. That's
Yeah.
right.
I think one word I can think of is apathy, right? Like loss of interest, loss of enthusiasm, just
Yeah,
like
I was
you
just
just lost
functioning,
interest in
like you said
everything.
last week. Yeah, walking zombie, like a living dead.
Mm,
You're just there, but your soul is like you're just a shell of yourself. It's like an empty shell.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So that's one of your experience
Yeah,
of
or
mm,
I lose interest in what I used to like. That's also one of the signs. Like you might be
mm,
someone who love to sing, or you might be someone who love to, dance, or I don't know what your previous interest is, and all of a sudden you just feel like I don't know. It doesn't.
mm,
Yeah, it doesn't make you feel alive again. It doesn't make you happy. Everything is just not happy. Suddenly the world seemed to, if I may say, suddenly have a tinge of grayness.
Right.
Yeah. When
I think that's,
sorry, when you're depressed, somehow, everything just loses its color. Yeah.
So I mean, most people, I would safely say that their perception about depression or anxieties and depression is, like you said, a walking dead and very sad. Physically, their physiology will show, drooping, like hopelessness, kind of outward behavior. But there is actually another group.
Yes.
There's actually another group that I term them high functioning depressed person. Yeah. So everything still looks good, right? They're still functioning perfectly in order. Yeah. But what people do not know is the internal thoughts, the internal warfare that's going on in their head, in their mind. Yeah, and the emotional turmoil, the roller coaster that they're experiencing, the internal anxiety they're experiencing. But behavior-wise, they're still as per normal, and in fact, they're functioning very well, in their day-to-day work and day-to-day task. And so, if you need them to smile, they can smile. If you need them to, it's like a switch. Yeah, because I talk about this because I feel that I experience both sides of this, the walking zombie experience, and I also experienced the high functioning but very depressed part of it. Yeah, a lot of anxiety inside, but yet, when it comes to being professional, you can smile, you can just immediately just behave professionally, and everything seems okay. So that is the other group.
That's right.
That's why depression has no face.
Yes, it has no face. And I could still function because, I was leading a team. I was, I have to still do my
the day-to-day task, right?
Day-to-day tasks, my business, right? I need to bring in the sales and the customers, and I was still performing brilliantly. But it is when it's at night, when I'm alone, that's when I get to process everything in the silence of the night, or when I'm alone. It doesn't need to be at night. It can be at any time in the day as well when I'm alone, and suddenly all this liberating thoughts, all this negativity, and it just keeps you trapped. It's like a broken tape recorder that's so irritating, and it just goes on in your mind, repeating the same image. That literally, there were times when I go, this is crazy, I feel like ripping up, open up the mind and just remove it and just throw it away. Yeah. So, and some days you can have what we call your good days, and some days where it's literally your bad days.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling somewhat like this, yes.
So I think for those the symptoms that are very evident and very obvious, like they're really sad, they're really withdrawing, closing the curtains, they just hide in the dark and they just want to isolate themselves, or even, go into cutting and things like that. Now, these are very evident symptoms, right? It's more like swinging to the extreme, very obvious, very evident. But I'm very much concerned, and my heart draws to those who are the high functioning but depressed. On the outside everything looks good, and or pretending to be to put up that strong front.
Mask as well sometimes. That
yes, like you said, putting on that mask. So therefore our message here, our conversation here is to encourage, our audience out there, if you know, because you will be the one that know it, because nobody else know what is really happening on your emotional level, and the narratives that you are hearing and telling yourself. And you are aware that you are constantly stuck in this, like what Jucelyn said, the broken radio that's playing in your head. I really want to encourage you to, reach out for support. And again, I want to emphasize, reaching out for support is not weakness. It is actually courage, right? It actually takes courage for you to reach out and say, hey, these are some issues that I need to address. That's it, you know. And you'll be surprised how many of us have actually gone through that same, broken radio and that emotional roller coaster that's so overwhelming that sometimes we really do not know how to address them. But when we have somebody to share, to talk it out, to have that conversation, that very authentic and vulnerable conversation without judgment, that's just, and that is the first step. The first step to, working and addressing the depression issue.
Right. So what are some of the coping strategies that you think, might help somebody who is, maybe facing certain anxiety disorder or, feeling depressed?
For me, like I mentioned, you categorize them, emotionally, psychologically, and behavioral. So in the area of physiology, if you want to shift simple things, right? This simple technique that apply for anyone. It doesn't have to be depressed person. As long as you feel tired, you feel a bit of anxiety, stress even, because stress can be healthy stress, right? Unless it scales until the unhealthy side, then it becomes all that anxiety and lead to depression. So one way is be conscious about your physiology. Do you know that just by changing and shifting your physiology does help to shift that state, that emotional state. So if you are someone who is always, you realize that, take notice whether you have been always very angry. So be conscious of your emotion. Are you always very angry or are you always very sad? Then take note of your physiology. So one, of course, some people recommend laughing, right? So try to be very angry and laugh at the same time.
But
laugh and
almost
angry at the same time.
Yeah, it's almost impossible.
Yeah, and so very simple things. Sometimes we don't have to complicate things. Simple things, if do whatever it helps. Like I said, if you always find yourself always in the very body, because we're talking about physiology right now, right? The physiology is always drooping, always very sad, always, frowning. And if you notice that, shift that, change that, put on a smile, just, stretch, do some stretching. Go out into the open, into the nature, take a walk, listen to nice music, or even watch a comedy, something that would cheer you up. So these are very simple things.
So
and it does. Yes, making that small little change. These are needle shift, but it will create a big impact down the road. But that's just taking care of the physiology.
Talking
then
about
the mental, right?
That's more the mental, the switch, right? This switch. Press the switch.
This is just the physiology, right? We haven't go into the mental and the emotional part yet.
Right.
But physiology wise, what are some of the things that you do to help?
Okay.
Let's share with our audience.
I think for physiology, it's also very important when you're very stressed and all to have enough sleep. Really.
Yes.
Because when you are not functioning well and then you lack sleep, it's just going to compound the whole issue, right? So sleep and eating right and eating healthily is very important. But somehow our body is, you might notice when you're very stressed, some of us might want to reach out for that bag of potato chips even more than before. Somehow, it is something to do with the chemicals and in the body. But eat healthy, sleep, and then do some exercise. I think it's really important. Exercise can be just even going for walks, freeing your mind, because you were talking about the mind, right? But sometimes if you keep getting stuck in an environment, then go for walks. Or for some people, they release stress by going to the gym. After gymming, even though they don't feel like it, but when they sweat it out and when they, whatever, do your cardios, do your treadmills, do whatever it takes, because all of us again are different, but most of us will realize you feel better and you're able to think better after you exercise. So it could be as simple as going for a walk. For me, a walk works. I always joke with my friends. I say, if I'm really so stressed or I'm really, you can tell I'm, going to be incredible hot soon, I'm so upset. Right? You know what? Just let me out and let me go for my walk. Usually that would work. I'll come back calmer.
Right.
Yeah, for me, I realized, and then I'll be listening to music. That is my way. So find your own way of releasing the tension.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a rubber band. It's good to be stretched because that's where we are useful. Rubber band is not useful unless it's stretched, right? What good is a rubber band that is not stretched? It's used to be stretched to tie things and hold things together. But know where is your breaking point. Know where that stretch of no return is. After a while, when you're more in tune with yourself, you will know. Then if you know that, okay, you're almost there, then take steps to reduce it, to reduce back the stretch before it snaps.
So it's important to us to, like what we have been talking here, we're still in the physiology part, we haven't go to the mental yet.
Yeah.
It's important to release those negative energy, right? Because too much of a build-up of your cortisol is not healthy for the brain and for your functioning, right? Yeah. So find ways, like I say, if you love to dance, maybe dance it out, sweat it out, exercise, walk. Yeah, find your own way that works for you to release that negative energy, shift that state, right? If you're always frowning, smile more often, intentionally, consciously smile more. All right, so that's just the physiology. But I think we can't share all for one session.
That's right.
But one simple technique that we can share with the audience, in terms of the narratives in the mind, is to practice reframing, right? Just reframe those negative thoughts that you have. And of course, again, we're running out of time, but if you need support in how to reframe the negative thoughts, because there's a lot of beliefs inside, there's a lot of voices, right? That just now Jucelyn talk about the broken radio. Yeah. They're not going to go away if you don't do anything about it.
That's right.
Yeah. And there is a technique to actually, reframe those thoughts and help you to so-called reprogram, those narratives, those languages. Because whatever that is in between, in the way of getting from what you want, is our language. It's a choice of words that we use.
That's right. That's why self-talk is so important, right? Because the only person that is with you all the time, you can go for motivational talks and all that, and you're all like, hurrah, and all pumped up for that 2-3 days. And then when the rubber meets the road, one of your favorite phrase, that's when, who is going to be dating you all the time? Yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Yourself. You like it or not, it's going to be yourself. So self-talk.
You are with you 24/7.
Yeah, 24/7. You can't run away from ourselves, right? And I think, I always say that just as a landlord would always want to rent their room to a good tenant who takes care of the room, likewise, we should be very, very selective of the thoughts that are like the tenants that we are renting our headspace to. Because if you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. Like I said, you will be right. Because what we focus on will eventually be what drives our behavioral system, our thoughts, our actions, and it will just manifest, right?
Yeah.
So in my book, that's one chapter where I also touch a little bit about reframing and the importance of that, because I realized that we can be our biggest sabotager.
Yeah.
And
or you can think
your
of it as
cheerleader. It works both ways. Yeah.
Yeah. Or you can even think about it as like growing a garden, right? What kind do you want to grow? Beautiful garden, fresh greens and beautiful flowers and all that, because that's your beautiful mind, right? Or are you going to grow
wheat,
thorns and
wheat,
thickets and
choke the plants, right? Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'll grow the
yeah.
sunflower anytime. Yeah,
Blue sunflower, yes.
yeah, I'll grow a whole garden of sunflower. And, I always think that is, yeah, that's still on my bucket list. Yeah.
Right.
After the COVID.
So yes, grab a copy of Jucelyn's book at www.jucelynong.com, right? Because in her book, she does also share about some of the techniques that you can apply to help you reframe your mind and get out of that anxiety and depression state. Okay, and anything else to add, Juice, before we go?
No, I think I just want to leave you with the one-liner, which is remember, even superheroes have their downtime, and we are all human. And get real with yourself, because really, to me, it takes courage to actually tell someone that, now it's kind of like my off day, I'm not feeling good, or this is the period where I need help. And you will be surprised that when you reach out, actually your friends, you do have a support system, but very often we are the ones that shut them out, or we think that we can do it. And it's only when you share, when you voice it out, that you realize that there are people who are willing to help you. And then when you overcome that, you will then, for me, because that journey, that whole arduous years and years, now on hindsight, I realized that if I didn't have those experiences, I wouldn't be able to understand what my friend is sharing. That's why she was saying, how come you know what I was going to say next? How come you know that was how exactly I feel? I said, because I went through it.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and we do welcome you to join us at our Women of Courage Asia community, because we meet every Tuesday, last Tuesday of the month, which is next week, right? Next Tuesday.
That's right.
Yeah, next Tuesday, is the last Tuesday of the month. So do come and be inspired, not just be inspired, but be empowered, right, by the sharing, because the sharing of the stories of courage will also equip you with practical strategies that you can apply in your life, right? The stories are from these different stages. So the ladies will share their adversity, how they overcome their adversity. So it's sharing from a point of victory, right, from a victorious mindset, and not from a victim's mindset. And so I think Helen and Yenny will be sharing this month. So do join us. Go to womenofcourage.asia, to find out a little bit of description about what they'll be sharing, right? And we hope that it can be of value and definitely help you. And you also have the opportunity to share your story as well, because there will be an open mic segment. So yeah, we look forward to see you next Tuesday. Okay, and remember, again, grab a copy of Jucelyn's book at jucelynong.com. Okay, we'll see you again next Tuesday.
yeah,
Right?
same time, same channel.